Hey guys, Xaryu here, and today I want to talk about God Comp, Shadow Priest Mage, playing with a Holy Pally, but you can play with a Resto Druid as well. We have some clips to jump into, and I just kind of want to see the viability. Now, the reason I wanted to try to play this composition, well, one, my friend Versace and Los wanted to play, but two, because, guys, Shadow Priest Mage is my all-time favorite composition, right along with FMP, Feral Mage Priest. I love it. I love playing Shadow Priest Mage. It's one of the first comps I had a ton of success with, and I just like the way it plays, right? And in this game, I'm going to show you two games today, but this first game, I'm just going to show you an example game of how well it can do if the enemy team is kind of letting you do you, right? So generally, we're fighting a Mistweaver, a Ret Pally, and a Demon Hunter. In this first game, it kind of can just be used as a guide, a God Comp guide if you're playing this composition, kind of what you're striving towards as far as playstyle, okay? So we're dotting up the Demon Hunter, dotting up the Paladin, and then we're going to get a lot of CC onto the Monk, their healer, and then we're going to burst one or the other with a Stun, Comet Storm, Ice Nova, Orb, Ice Lance, and then get defensives and continue CC from there. So let's go ahead and play it. Crackling Shade Lightning coming out, building up some Frostbolt. So the start of the game, guys, we're just building pressure. All right, we're not just immediately popping Orb or Unuse or anything like that. My Shadow Priest is getting his dots. I'm building my Icicles, right? Frostbolt doesn't do the burst, it just builds the damage. So we're Frostbolting, we're collecting some damage. My Priest is getting his dots out, trying to get enough Insanity to actually Void Erupt, and then boom. I really want to highlight this play, okay? So right here, we're doing damage to Demon Hunter. The Monk dispels the Vampiric Touch off Demon Hunter, and he gets Horror. I see that, all right? It's a 3-second horror, maybe 2 or 3 second horror. I see that, and it's kind of hard to react because you don't know when the Monk is going to dispel. But you can poly off this, right? This is almost like a free way to land polymorph. So you blink over, trinket, blink over, boom, full poly. Okay, so now we got that full poly on the Monk off of the horror. Pally is pushed in way too far. We throw a stun onto him. This is an easy Orb, Comet Storm, Ice Nova, and we're going to get Bubble or other major defensive cooldowns. So we're actually going to get Bubble and the Trinket Cocoon from the Monk. So the enemy team overlap defensively. They overlap Trinket, Cocoon, and Bubble, right? If the Pallies can trade up Bubble, the Monk should sit the Poly, or vice versa. But doing both is a little bit too many defensive cooldowns from the enemy, right? But we're going to continue to damage through. Massive Spell might come out on the Bubble, maybe not. We're going to get 3 Sheeps onto the Monk into, hopefully some more CC, into a Full Fear, okay? So far it's been a Horror, Poly, Trinket, Poly, Fear onto this Monk. He hasn't moved much. And we're still spreading the pressure onto the Demon Hunter a little bit. He's 77% life. Pally's getting, he's actually out of the Bubble. Cocoon's about to fade as well. So we actually want to get some more dots up onto the Pally and then continue damage off there. We're going to get a full lockout onto the Monk. So the Monk actually opens up his Soothing Mist, opens up his Healing Tree. We get a full lockout on the Monk. And now Pally's Cocoon is over, continuing damage onto the Pally. And we have that full silence now onto the Priest. So Horror, Sheep, Fear, Counterspell, Silence. Okay, so the Monk hasn't moved too much. Poly DR's off in 3 seconds. He's going to get that Dispel again into the Horror. More damage on the Pally, and Polymorph DR just came off. We're finishing the Polycast as that DR comes off. So, look, 3 seconds left on the Poly, 2 seconds left on the Poly, 1 second left on the Poly DR. Boom, full Poly, right? Any sooner, that would have been a Poly immune. So you really want to keep an eye on the diminishing returns. You know exactly when you can land those full polymorphs. But now the full rotation's back again, right? We've used every single CC we've had onto this Monk. Still keeping him under control. Hammer of Justice comes out, comes from Ice Nova, boom, Pally's dead. So this was just a good game. This is my alt mage, so we were playing at kind of a lower MMR, my first couple games here on this guy, that I thought kind of exemplifies how God Comp can be played, or should be played, if the enemies are letting you do your thing. Now, I don't think Shadow Priest Mage, for the record, is in an insane comp right now. Mainly because the Shadow Priest doesn't do enough damage, right? He barely did more damage than me, and I'm a Frost Mage. I don't do much damage at all, whereas Shadow Priests are normally much higher. We're double dotting, right? That's not even 262,000 single target damage. That's cross pressure. And then Shadow Priests are a little bit squishy. So I think the comp's okay, but I think Shadow Priests have some weaknesses where Blizzard kind of said they're going to buff them. So we're kind of just crossing our fingers, waiting for the buff, all right? But regardless, I thought it was a cool game of high CC on the healer and getting the defensive cooldowns rotated out of the enemy. All right, guys, here's another game on Pulveron Arena. There I am checking out my transmog. Beautiful, beautiful, looking good Xaryu TV. Here we're fighting a Moonkin, a Windwalker, and a Resto Shaman. And once again, guys, start of the game, we're building up procs. And this game is a little unfortunate. I chuckle a little bit because the Shaman is playing Spirit Link. And Spirit Link is just one of those talents, guys, that Shamans are playing a lot of right now. And I really don't like it, but they are. All right, I actually mess up here on that polymorph. I full poly the Shaman, but it does break, unfortunately. So the full polymorph there is pretty much a waste. We get the Fear anyway. We get the Hammer of Justice on the Monk, and that's a lot of what you guys want to do on your setups. CC healer, stun DPS, burst the DPS. Or you can CC DPS, stun the healer, burst the healer. Regardless, you want to cross CC. Look at this. Fear onto the Shaman. Counterspell on the Cyclone attempt from the Druid. Cross CC onto the Monk. We have the Hammer of Justice, but he trinketed it, right? So we're forcing the trinkets. The Moonkin trinkets and the Windwalker trinkets. Shaman decides to sit his CC, and that's really what you're looking for. It's what you're looking for with Rogue Mage Priest. That's what you're looking for with FMP. That's what you're looking for God Comp. Mages are kind of the kings of cross CC. If you're not doing that, you're not playing the mage to how it can be played, or to its fullest potential, because that's really what they're designed for right now, is getting that cross CC, throwing out that burst, keeping up the consistent with the Shadow Priest, keeping things up, cross CC, burst over and over. Once again, get the full counterspell into the full polymorph. Now we can burst Moonkin here, or we can burst Monk. Doesn't really matter. Gonna go for a resheep here onto the Shaman. Hopefully, a little gap there, and that's kind of my fault. I gapped that, so my pally threw out that Hammer of Justice. And for a second here, we're just triple dotting, right? That was kind of a failed go attempt. It wasn't super clean. And this game is an example of a game that wasn't clean. I specifically remember playing this game last night or the night before, and we had a lot of kill potentials that were just a little bit off, and that happens, right? That happens. And that's kind of what I was just saying, is everything has to be clean for you to actually land a kill if the enemy team is playing well, right? Everything has to be clean. Polymorph, counterspell, stun, burst. You can't just kind of mess around. But anyway, this was almost a kill. We throw out the full polymorph, get a huge burst here onto the Druid, but he never got stunned, right? If we had a stun, that Druid would have died. So I don't think we had that Hodge or Horror up quite yet. There is the Hodge Horror combination, but the Shaman Trinkets throws out that Spirit Link Talon, and it looks like his team is going to be okay for now. And that was kind of the first window that I was talking about, where we might have been able to kill if we executed that a little bit better. Maybe save the Hammer of Justice or got the Horror onto the Druid a little bit sooner. He dipped very, very fast, very, very hard, and he might have actually fallen right there if we set that up a little bit better. Continuing to build icicles, right? So this is the downtime, and we don't have CC, we don't have stuns. This is downtime, right? This is Temporal Shield, rebuff Intellect, Frostbolt to build icicles, work on positioning, Blizzard to get another orb back. Once again, Frostbolting to get more icicles. These are all the things I'm worried about, right? Resummon my Water Ellie, and it looks like we probably have a stun back right about now. It's go time, right? It's go time to once again kind of do things. Kill that capped totem real quick there. Now I'm going to probably go for a polymorph any second here. Boom, there's the full polymorph. Shaman kind of gave it to me a bit free by opening up his position, open up that line of sight. And the Druid gets Hammer of Justice, trinkets it immediately. We're going to go for a sheep into a resheep there onto the Shaman, and the Monk gets stun and trinkets as well. So I just realized we don't have Horror DR on my S Arena, so I'll have to add that. I'll put a note to myself to add that Horror DR on the S Arena. Not that it matters too much from my point of view, but just for reference for teammates, it's good to know the stun DR on things, right? Regardless, the Monk did trinket that, and Druid trinketed that as well. And now we have a position where none of the enemies have trinkets, and this is great, right? This is what you're looking for, guys. When they have no trinkets, you have things like Icy Veins, On Use, Orb coming up, and they have no trinkets. You're in position to win the game, right? You are in just one setup away from victory. They can't really use their defensives if they have no trinket. If you get some nice cross CC, good burst, game's over, right? And that's really, really all it's going to take. to finish out the game. We get the counterspell onto the Shaman, trying to go for a poly, trying to juke the Shear, but he's not quite shearing me there. On the polymorph attempts, kind of just max ranging. And here's a situation where we're kind of just waiting, right? We're waiting for another Hammer of Justice or waiting for a Horror, and it's really hard to burst without a stun as God Comp, right? We get that triple fear setup. It's great. And here is another blunder that I remember from the other night. So we got the triple fear, fantastic, right? I call out to burst Monk because Monk is away from the Shaman, and I can Orb, I can Comet Storm, I can Ice Nova, and I think we might have been able to kill the Monk there. He has no diffuse, and we could block the Karma, bop the Karma, something like that. Monk should be a free kill, right? Thumbs up. But we decided to go Druid, and the problem with the Druid is that he's stacked with the Shaman. I can't Orb, I can't Comet Storm, I can't Ice Nova. The only thing I could do here is cast an Ebon Bolt, which I might do here in a second, going for a re-polymorph. Just casting some Frostbolt, Shatter, Druid goes Bear Form, and he lives, right? So I basically couldn't use much of my burst, and that's an issue, right? So Frost Mages have a lot of AoE damage, and if you are trying to kill someone who's stacked with their healer, it's going to break CC, they're going to get healed, even if you're doing AoE damage. So, little unfortunate there. I actually want to highlight this play as well. Shadow Priest is getting low. We call out for a life swap. I pop Temporal Shield. Boom, he life swaps me into the Temp. Temp takes the damage, and boom, heals me back to full life. A lot of you guys might have not known that you can do that, but you can just temp that swap, so the pally doesn't have to worry about healing me, and since I wasn't the target of choice, I don't mind throwing out my temp shield. It doesn't really feel like too much of a waste at all. Shaman's in a full polymorph there. We get that disarm onto the Moon. Can we get a re-polymorph? Moonkin's getting a 4%. Monk is spamming out Vivify. We really needed to cross CC that. If we did cross CC that, the Druid probably would have went down. So once again, it's another situation where it's like, that Druid really should have died that go if we had it a little bit cleaner. If we had the Hammer of Justice on the Monk there. If we had a Horror on the Monk there. If we had a Counterspell on the Monk there, it would have worked as well. Counterspell was on cooldown during that last go. If we had Counterspell on the Monk there, it would have worked. A Ring of Frost, some type of CC onto this Monk during the go is kind of what we needed. A Fear even, whatever. But that cross CC is how you're going to land kills as you get higher and higher rating, because people are only living because the teammates are peeling or off healing or supporting them, right? They're living for some reason. So that's pretty much what we learned from that last go, and we have to really focus on that cross CC. So at this point in the game, guys, the Druid has a Trinket back up, and the Monk has a Trinket back up. This sucks, right? Like, this is like, okay, now we're back to square one. Shaman no Trinket, we can CC him, but the Monk and the Druid are kind of just, you know, they have a lot of cooldowns we have to rotate through, many goes if we want to win the game again. So we could set up Monk if we want, Druid Trinket to the ring, which is a huge misplay, which is great for us, or we can set up the Shaman here, and we actually decide to set up Shaman because, guess what? Positioning. I always get the number one question I get, guys, is who should we kill? You know, who should we kill? And I always give you guys the same answer. It's based on trinkets, it's based on positioning, and it's based on defensive cooldowns. Guys, Shaman has no trinket. Monk and Druid are behind the pillar. Shaman's in the middle of the map. What are we gonna do? Pop quiz. Ding, ding, ding. We're going on the Shaman, all right? It's the Shaman swap time. Pop Comet Storm, pop Ice Nova, pop that Ebon Bolt, blink away so we can't get interrupted. Silence comes out, and we might have a Horror as well. There it is. There it is. 100 to 0 there. Have the counterspell available if they were doing too much off CC with Cyclones or Vivify off heals, and that was nice. That was a clean setup, and it's all based on the positioning, all based on defensive cooldowns and trinkets. So you always want to keep those swaps in mind, not just go on Monk, not just go on Druid, but really use your brain, think, what's the best target in this situation? Let's set up on that based on a number of factors. Damage breakdown. Frost Mage is low, and that's not a surprise. Okay, Frost Mages don't do a lot of overall damage, not a lot of DPS, but a lot of burst. So control, burst. Shadow Priest actually doing a lot of damage that game. We had double and triple dots a lot of the game, so it's not a surprise, but Shadow Priest actually getting a huge buff on Tuesday, which is in 2 days from now when I'm recording this, and they're gonna do even more damage, but I think they're still a little bit squishy. But anyway, another really good game there, exemplifying how God Comp should be played. Guys, if you enjoyed this video breakdown, make sure to give the video a thumbs up. If you did not enjoy the video, make sure to give it a thumbs down. Talk to me down below in the comments about what you guys want to see from this channel in the future. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next upload. Peace.